Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 18th, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good, feeling pretty nice on this Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. If you're not listening to this on a Friday, of course, as always, that's okay. Hopefully you are instilled with those good Friday vibes. Hopefully that transfers, that rubs off on you. Digital osmosis. I don't know. I'm coining that term right now. Let's see. But yeah, no, I'm doing good, feeling good. This week was solid. I definitely felt like today was like, man, this day is dragging. It's dragging. I just want to get out of here. And finally got out of work and came home, and here I am. And now I'm just like, yay, weekend. So it's nice. Feels good. Always feels good to collect your $200 and, know you passed go. Food corner was a burger, hot dog, fry, and onion ring. That's right, combination. And it was very yummy. Let's see here. Didn't fool around with anything. More or less made things stocked. My own personal critique on myself, didn't cook my bacon hard enough. Like, it was definitely more on the chewy side, but I'm so prone to overcooking. So I just said, hey, let's just cut our losses. I'm happy to eat with this, and that's what we did. That was a scenario, but it worked out. It was a yummy meal. So yeah, okay. Enough about me. I'm gonna do my classic startup. And then we can do some news real quick. Hopefully real quick. Hopefully we can just pew, pew, pew. I mean, it's... I gotta say, though, this is all heavy issues. I wish I was, like, bringing you guys some levity here, but it's kind of at the top. Okay. Let's get into it. Whew. From CNN, 8 churches set ablaze in Pakistan's Punjab province after accusations of blasphemy. A crowd vandalized 8 churches and several homes following accusations of blasphemy against Islam in Pakistan's most populated province of Punjab on Wednesday, according to government authorities and residents, stoking tensions between local Muslim and minority Christian communities. Now, apparently, this is like kind of just been a thing that's on the rise, and apparently the number has gone up to 8 churches that have been hit total. At least that's as of Wednesday. I don't know if the number has gone up, but 2 men are alleged to have desecrated the Holy Quran, and this was in the town of Jaranwala. And because of this, it invoked the ire of a lot of Muslim people, and they were just very upset. And so they're like, "Look, we are on a warpath now, and we're gonna fuck up these churches. We're gonna burn Bibles, and we're gonna find those dudes. We're gonna fuck them up." And they were like demanding for these guys to get arrested. And I mean, it's just become a really big thing. It sparked a lot of national attention. But apparently this is something that is not, I don't want to say common, but it's one of those things where, like, there is a chance that, like, oh, well, sometimes these things happen and they're not even, like, they're fabricated situations. So essentially it's like, oh, you don't like X person. And so hey, like, you're a Muslim and X person is Christian. So you're going to say, oh, they said something, they did something, and it's blasphemy. It's either, they did something against the Quran, they did something against our church, they did something against the Prophet Muhammad, and now it's on them. And so a lot of people in the Christian community here are saying, hey, that's what's happening to us. We're being oppressed. And, a lot of these things are being trumped up, and they're saying, hey, this is a trumped up thing. Now, I am just someone who is here just talking about it, doing my armchair shit. I don't fucking know, at the end of the day. But I will say, no matter what, I feel like it is wrong to be like, oh, they did something to us, so we should find them, beat them up, kill them, because in some situations that's literally what happens, and they are quote unquote justified in that, with their religious laws. It's like, no, like they did blasphemy, so we can kill them. Like there are cases where literally people have been hung for this kind of shit, or beaten for this kind of shit, where people have been put in jail on death row, and eventually were able to fight their case, plead their case, but they could have died because of that kind of shit. So yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I understand in the sense of like saying, hey, if this did happen, as you guys say, that's very upsetting. That's like, like I want to definitely say, hey, like your religion should be observed and respected no matter who you are, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whatever. So, I can see this as being a whole fucking quagmire. I was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know where to like really put this story wise, but here we are on a Friday talking about the shit. But yeah, it's very unfortunate. It's very sad on both sides. No matter where you look at it here, it's not like I'm saying, oh, this side's right, this side's wrong. I just definitely feel like, yo, if you're getting to the point of saying, oh, we need to mobilize, we need to like find these people and beat them up for this, it's like, I don't think that is worth it. I think that's a red line for me personally. Yeah. And I think fucking up the Quran is bad, but I also think burning Bibles is bad. That's another thing I want to mention. Because like in the thumbnail, that's the picture I have. It's actually the mob of people, like, people are so upset that they are taking people's Bibles out on the street and just burning them. I think that's really like, ooh. And any kind of book burning is weird. Book burning, banning, that shit's like gross. I just don't like it. It's a big icky for me. All right. I feel like I've said my 2 cents here. I want to move on. I want to talk about some other news. From the Associated Press, Maui's emergency services chief resigns after facing criticism for not activating sirens during fire. All right, so let's get into this. The head of Maui's emergency management agency resigned abruptly Thursday, a day after saying he had no regret about not using sirens to warn residents of wildfires that devastated the historic seaside community of Lahaina and killed at least 111 people. Let's see. Let's read a little bit more, actually. The decision from the agency, directed by Administrator Herman Andaya, I'm going to say Herman Andaya, coupled with water shortages that hampered firefighters and an escape route that became clogged with vehicles, has brought intense criticism from many residents. The lack of sirens has emerged as a potential misstep, and the Associated Press reported that it was part of a series of communication issues that added to the chaos. Now, Mayor Richard Bisson accepted Ndaya's resignation effective immediately. The county of Maui announced on Facebook, and then Andaya cited unspecific health reasons with no further details provided. It's probably not health that, is the reason here why he resigned. It looks like he really just held frame here. And I don't know, maybe this is a hot take, but I get what he's saying. Because he does, I want to read this. Excuse me. He defends his decision, and here's his quote. We were afraid that people would have gone maka, Andaya said, using a Hawaiian word that means inland or towards the mountain. If that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire. Now, essentially, he's referring that the siren system was designed after a 1946 tsunami that had killed more than 150 people on the Big Island. And the website also cites this as well, as like, that's the reason we have the alert. And the website says that they may be used to alert for fires. Okay, so the website here is a little bit already dousing water on what he's saying. I think when I read this initially on my first and second pass, I didn't really let that sink in. Hey, sometimes reading it aloud actually, helps me out. But, it is one of those things where this is supposed to have dual purposes here. And for him to just say, oh, I wanted to make sure that people weren't getting confused, in a way does feel relevant to me. That does still ring like true. I can understand that decision. But I can also now understand a little bit better that, like, with the people who are critical of that, it's like, no, you could have said, yo, just ring the alarm. And I think that's also really important too, because there had been activity on the island throughout the day. I've been listening to more stories, a little bit more details, stuff like that has been coming out. And essentially, there was a initial fire that was really bad, and the firefighters came out and were more or less able to handle it. And they're like, cool, that's, we've extinguished the fire, or we've contained the fire, more or less what they said. It had came down to more or less just like smoke and things of that nature. So it had seemed resolved. But essentially, the fire reignited and then became worse. So people were already kind of lulled into a sense of false security. And it turns out, like, no, this is actually a big problem. There's been a lot of things that have been cited too, not just that. There's been a sort of grass that's non-native to Hawaii that's been like kind of like spotted and known as like, hey, this is like a flammable thing. It should be dealt with, but it hadn't. There's also been fingers pointed at the electricity company for not shutting down the power soon enough and on the island. So, I mean, it's a lot. So, in some ways, I get that Ndaya is saying, hey, I didn't want to throw up the sirens because I didn't want to confuse people and have the situation get worse. But also, I've heard a lot of locals saying, hey, we didn't get a text message. We didn't get an alarm. We didn't get anything. There was no notice. This fire was literally up on us. And that is so scary to think about. That's so, like, ugh. And to hear people's stories, I really try to, like put myself in their shoes or whatever, just like, because I'm hearing these people out. Like, I don't want to tune it out. It's just noise. And it's like, it feels like this sci-fi horror experience that these people went through to, like, get to these situations. Like, I'm hearing, like, people burn to death and I can't even see it because all I see is black, and I'm trying to breathe and fight for my life. I hearing people stuck in situations where it's like, well, I can burn, and I literally, like, feel this hot wind, and it's this or the ocean. Like, it's terrible. Like, to hear the story about the animals, like, that too, like, it's hard. So I understand the feeling, the need to, like, say, hey, what's going on here? What caused this? Like, how can we make sure this doesn't happen this bad? Because I mean, really, truly, this shit just felt like it was something out of a horror book, and it was just real ass life. Like, so, my condolences to the people. I definitely don't want to overstep my bounds here saying, like, oh, like, I totally get what this Ndaya guy is saying. Like, if people on the ground are saying, like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be, like, that, then that's what it is. I totally get that. So yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because, like, Lahaina, like, this place is just such a historic place, and for people to just, now be so uprooted. Also, another thing I want to mention too is something that's so fucking just gross and disgusting and so fucking capitalistic is the real estate people who are trying to, like, move in on homeowners and stuff and being like, hey, so, like, I know you're going through a lot right now, and I'm sure you need money to kind of help get back on your feet. Well, we have the means to help you. Like, we would love to buy your property, your land, what have you. And, like, literally hearing these people, like, being like, oh, just rubbing their hands together like it's the Birdman fucking meme. Like, yeah, we're about to come up so big here. We're about to buy low and sell high. Oh, yeah. Or just the idea of, like, saying, hey, we're going to buy this historic land that people have not been willing to sell their whole life because it's their land, it's their livelihood. And we're going to, like, just build some fucking hotels and shit. We're going to get real fucking nice with it. Real fucking modern, futuristic with this shit. And it's like, no, like, it's terrible. It's disgusting. And, I mean, I hope that that's not what comes to pass with this area, with this, with this place, because this is where people live. This is where people have their whole lives, and it's not supposed to be that. Like, you already got that shit in the Big Island. You don't have to fucking take that shit here. This is already a tourist attraction for you. And I mean, shit, I could go even longer talking about just the motherfuckers who are just plain tourists still in these areas, and that's a fucking issue. That's a whole other fucking thing. Oh my god, I could probably do a little fucking short on fucking Oprah, but I'm tired. It has been a long week, so shit. Let's just go ahead and move along. From the BBC, Nurse Lucy Letby guilty of murdering 7 babies on neonatal unit. So obviously with this title, I gotta say, hey, trigger warning. Sadly, child killing. Shit, man. I mean, shit's fucking heavy. And also I gotta say too, I mean, this is kind of the end of this chapter here. We've talked about Lucy Letby before, but her sentencing is going to be on Monday, and hopefully I can either get a verdict by like that day or Tuesday, so we can just kind of really hopefully just put a nail in this shit. But yeah, gotta get through this. Granted, I do not want to dwell. I do not want to get into the fucking details. I just fucking don't. Nurse Lucy Letby has been found guilty of murdering 7 babies on a neonatal unit, making her the UK's most prolific child serial killer in modern times. The 33-year-old has also been convicted of trying to kill 6 other infants at the Countess of Chester Hospital between 2015 of June and 2016 of June. Letby deliberately injected babies with air, force-fed others with milk, and poisoned 2 other infants with insulin. And a lot of these situations, she would do this shit like around the parents. And I don't mean this to like blame the parents or anything like that, but it was almost like this was like a part of her MO, as if she wanted to come in to a baby's life and swoop in like some kind of angel of death and like kill them like in front of their family, their parents. Like, she would like either get time or have time on her own and just do this kind of fucking macabre, depraved ass fucking shit. Her legal team tried to actually blame the system, which, I mean, man, I get it. You are the defense team. You got to do your fucking job. But they really tried it. They really just fucking tried to curve a bullet here. And I'm glad it didn't work here. I mean, yes, I get it. Like, the system is totally at fault here. They are doing investigations and things of that nature. And honestly, I hope that some of these motherfuckers do get held accountable along with her, because it's like, there's just no way where they're literally like, there are clear signs that it's like, the numbers are literally going up. Like, the statistics are changing here on child death, on toddler death here. Like, newborn babies and shit. And it's just like, it's wild. Also, it's wild, too, that the jury was unable to reach verdicts on the 6 further attempted murder charges. The Nicholas Johnson KC, who is prosecuting, asked that the court for 28 days to consider whether they would retry on the 6 remaining counts. So, I mean, I hope they do. But it's gross that this that she had her head down, bowed, she was crying when she heard the verdict. Her mom sobbed loudly and could be heard saying, "This can't be right. You can't be serious." Like, come on. Like, I think you can be right here. There's literally like a note that she was writing, and like she had like it was just like she was like lamenting over the shit that she was doing. But I feel like a person like this was just doing it, and the only thing that was going to stop her was getting caught. I don't think anything else was going to. I don't think she was going to stop him on her accord. Oh, I don't know, man. Like, this is one that boggles my mind. It gives me like the 1,000-yard stare. I don't get it. I don't understand the reasoning, and I don't think someone like Letby is going to sit down with someone in a tell-all and really explain it. I think they're really going to try to hide behind the idea of like, no, I didn't do anything. It was actually the system. Like, I was just doing the best I could, and like, these deaths are just happening. it's devastating. It truly is. Like, and these are just the ones that they could bring to a trial, I believe. So it's heavy shit. So the idea that she just had like this deadpan look, just nonchalant energy about this shit, she's just been hanging here, and now she wants to feel sorry for herself. It's just crazy to me. It's just wild as fuck. Um, so yeah, we got the verdict. We'll probably cover that shit. Um, yeah, like I said, it's on the BBC if you would like to get the details. I mean, shit, this shit's so heavy. They're like, hey, if you want to like, you need some support or something, we got you. Like, we got a link. And I mean, damn, it gives me the heebies. Whew. Okay, I had to take a few there. Sorry about that. Okay. From The Guardian. Trans woman banned from world chess events while. I'm sorry, I read that a little wrong. Trans women banned from world chess events while review takes place. So fucking boo, tomato, tomato, tomato to the fucking FDE or FIDE, FIDE. Can I call him FIDE? I'm gonna call him FIDE. So fuck you, FIDE. Um, the world's top chess federation has ruled that transgender women cannot compete in its official events for females until a review of the situation is made by its officials. The decision by Lausanne, Switzerland-based Federation FIDE or FIDE was published on Monday and has drawn criticism from advocacy groups and supporters of transgender rights. Transgender rights, not transgender gender rights. Though we do support transgenders. They do have souls and they do matter as well. This shit is this fucking poppycock. It's fucking wild. It's chess. So right off the bat here, I'm like, you can't even use the like physicality thing. Like, and it's weird too because I feel like how it's worded, it's specifically towards like this is about females. Like, if you're any kind of other, like, I think if you're a trans man, it's not a problem, I guess. And they also are employing like, well, we always do have like the open tournaments that you can play in, but it's weird that it's almost like they're trying to like carve out like it's like no, this is specifically for women with women brain, female brain only. I don't get it. And they're like biological female only. You do anything, we're mad. You can't do it. At least until they've come to a conclusion. I guess that's their little gray area that they're trying to use to protect themselves here. Like they're just like what. Doing the research, I don't know, doing some pondering. Like, no, to me, this is something you shouldn't even have to fucking ponder. I don't know. Y'all know if you are an avid, longtime listener of this shit. Every time this issue comes up, I get a fucking annoyed. Like, I don't care what sport it is. I don't care. Like, this shit does not matter. You should be allowed to compete. Like, it's a game. You're playing a fucking game. That is what sport is. Like, people making this gender thing matter is so crazy to me. They're like, no, but if you're a man, like, oh, I'm sorry, but if you've gone through puberty, it's just different. Like, you shouldn't be able to just switch like that. Like, no, it's not fair. It's not fair to those women. Like, people saying that shit is just laughable to me. It's just so fucking weird to me. It always will be. They reference cycling here, too, which I know Lance Armstrong has been up in arms about. Phew, phew. Love that. Which, mind you, didn't, like, that motherfucker, like, do fucking steroids or some fucking shit? God damn it, dude. It's just the fucking hypocrisy in that alone, which is kind of fucking my point. Like, it is a game. People will advantage in those fucking ways, and it's like, yeah, it's frowned upon legality, but at the same time, like I said, I was rooting for Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in baseball. Like, people were fucking paying out season tickets for that shit. And then when that shit stopped, they didn't want to show up anymore because it was boring. I don't know, man. I know I do know. This shit bothers me. It will always bother me. It is. Gender in this situation does not matter. You should be allowed to be who you are and play the game that you want to play the sport that you want to play. You should be allowed to participate in that shit. And if you have a problem with that, you fucking suck. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't get to like go uncapped. Like at work, I can't say that. I gotta refrain and I gotta fucking be politically correct. At least kind of. But yeah, no, fuck you. You suck. That's lame if you think that shit. Like at the end of the day, you should be allowed to participate. You should be allowed to be who you are. Gender is just fucking identity. Stop fucking bothering me with fucking science. You can do whatever the fuck you want these days with science. Like, we have full power. And at the end of the day, this is like, I'm done. I'm off it. I'm tired. I could go all day about this shit and I don't want to. I'm taking up your time. It's Friday. I'm sucking up that Friday energy. At the end of the day, that's the news. That's all I got. All right. Thank you so much for listening all the way. As always, that's dope. If you've done that, if you made it this far, mission complete. We did it. But if you'd like to support further, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/news. You become a newsie. I shout you out on the podcast at the top of the month. And then I also shout out whatever thing you're doing, whatever project you're on, a little cross-pollination for you. And then let's see as well, if you'd like to hit me up for free, I have a Google, a Gmail. That's what I have a whole Google, actually, a whole search engine. That's me. I'm actually not struggling. No, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. And then also I'm on all the socials if you'd like to follow the podcast. Or me, maybe. That's potentially a thing, Yeah, you can hit me up. As well, please subscribe to the YouTube. That helps out a lot. I'm trying to get that monetized one day. That's a thing. And, yeah. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.